Hello all, Shadwell here, ready to talk about the next film in my collection, Count Dracula and His Vampire Bride from 1973. It's the fifth film in the 50 Drive-In Movie Classics collection, is directed by Alan Gibson and stars Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing. Well, scrap that title, as this film is actually called The Satanic Rites of Dracula. It isn't an edited version of it or anything, it's just retitled for reasons. I can tell you it's a silly title because while there is a Count Dracula, there is no sight of his vampire bride. This is one of those classic Hammer horror Dracula movies that starred Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee as Dracula and Van Helsing that people are always gushing about. And I can see why. There's a lot to like about this movie. I mean, honestly, I found it a little weird that for a modern take on a Dracula story, it took just over 30 minutes for the big bad to show his face, and the first 45 minutes are mostly focused on cops at Scotland Yard doing cop things, so it takes a while for the horror part of this horror movie to begin proper, but when it does not disappoint. It is a weird plot overall, as it's about Dracula wanting to spread a new bubonic plague across the globe that would kill everyone that wasn't a vampire, so there is a slight spy thriller angle to the film, but again, that's mostly in the first 45 minutes. The last half of the movie plays like a more traditional Dracula film. Although I will say that the ending is slightly silly, as Dracula is stopped by his ultimate weakness, hawthorn bushes, and then in his weakened state he is stabbed with a wooden stake. At least it wasn't a garlic bullet, and yes, I'm still sore about that Argento's Dracula, and it doesn't look like I will ever let that go. I was also just looking at the title again and learned that it's Count Dracula and His Vampire Brides, as in more than one. That makes more sense because we meet several female vampires that would fit that bill. Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing play well off of each other, and sadly it would be the last Hammer horror Dracula film they would do together. In fact, it would be Christopher Lee's last Hammer Dracula performance completely. Even though the silly virus plot is there, that doesn't get in the way of a lot of neck-sucking, stake-stabbing, crucifix-holding action. I would add that the oddest thing I don't like is during the opening titles there is a growing shadow of assumedly Dracula on the screen and it just looks weird. Not a fan. But I am a fan of this movie, and hey, it even looked good. Not perfect, but a lot better than The Creeper. Jesus, that film's presentation still haunts my damn dreams. I'm giving Count Dracula and His Vampire Brides a B+, and tomorrow I review Bubble Boy, starring Jake Gyllenhaal. See y'all then.